everyone. You are watching Eagle News America. I am Eliza Gonzalez Manglekmot coming to you from Washington, D.C. It is Tuesday evening here, July 27, 2021. Join us in tonight's special episode as the Iglesia Ni Cristo, or Church of Christ, continues celebrating its 107th anniversary. We will bring you stories about the church's outreach efforts despite the COVID-19 pandemic and amid social and economic turmoil this past year. For our first stories, we go to two significant places in the history of the Church of Christ, namely Hawaii and California. The church began its foreign mission here and through the years has flourished in membership, worship buildings, as well as in its efforts to help individuals, families, and communities in need. Senators of the state of Hawaii commend the efforts of the Iglesia Ni Cristo during the pandemic crisis that crippled communities there. Here's a report. Thank you, Hawaii Bureau. This past year, the Iglesia Ni Cristo in Northern California reached out to several organizations, including food banks and schools. To tell us more, in the state capital, Angel Membrere reports.
During the pandemic in 2020, members of the Church of Christ in Northern California continued their outreach efforts in local communities as part of the church's global outreach initiatives. In October of 2020, the Church of Christ held an Aid to Humanity event to benefit the Second Harvest Food Bank and the city of Lathrop. The donation included bags with basic essentials and food, as well as a check.
We got a phone call to come and receive this generous donation, so we're honored here to be able to be a part of this and receive this donation, especially this time because, people have been less fortunate. Maybe they lost their job, or hours got cut down. A lot of the times, a family of two parents both have to work, and now we have kids that are at home and doing Zoom meetings through school. So now someone has to watch the kids, so they're either paying for daycare or they're cutting their hours at work. So if we could bring some food to the table and help those families out, we'd love to do that.
It's very important to help each other, especially during these challenging times when the whole world is dealing with this pandemic. There are people who are out of work, people are hurting, and this is a great event. I'm so thankful that the church is doing this service to humanity, and it's an honor that they picked our city for one of these events. We are people of faith, and we're supposed to give a helping hand to our brothers and sisters who are hurting during these challenging times. It's going to help a lot of people.
Also last year in Northern California, another Aid to Humanity event took place at Terra Nova High School in Pacifica, California. Terra Nova High School was presented with a $10,000 check and a large quantity of Chromebooks. Some of the special guests included the city manager, Shauna Maltby, and Terra Nova Education Foundation President Rachel Cataruccio. The Daly City Mayor Glenn Sylvester, who was also in attendance, said the following message during the event.
What I look to is the giving and the heart and the genuine care and passion for everyone else. So to the Church of Iglesia Ni Cristo, Maraming salamat. Thank you.
Taking a look back in the year, in 1968, about 20 miles north of Pacifica is San Francisco, California. This area became the location of the second established congregation of the Church of Christ in the Western Hemisphere. A few years later, in 1971, the local congregation of San Francisco had a dedication of their house of worship. And now, 50 years later, in 2021, this continues to be their current place of worship. In Sacramento, California, Angel Mabreri, Eagle News, we live in interesting times.
Thank you, Angel. Meanwhile, Prime Minister Justin Trudeau, in a statement, thanked the Iglesia Ni Cristo for its outreach efforts during the COVID-19 pandemic. Trudeau mentioned the church's hard work, dedication, and compassion during these trying times. This story and more about the Church of Christ's gestures of goodwill across Canada from Eagle News correspondent Ashley Sakmar.
The COVID-19 pandemic uncovered and exacerbated many social issues and problems here in Canada, one of which is hunger. According to Statistics Canada, 1 in 7 Canadians live in food insecurity. Today, we are looking back at the generous efforts of the Church of Christ, or the Iglesia Ni Cristo, together with the Felix Y. Manalo Foundation here in Canada, how they have spent this past year helping out their neighbors, communities, and food banks across the country. Let's begin here, where we are, at the city of Toronto, as they reached out to North York Harvest Food Bank back in October. The Iglesia Ni Cristo members in the Greater Toronto area donated 600 boxes of food items and $5,000 in cash to the North York Harvest Food Bank, one of the largest food banks in Toronto and one that has become a regular recipient of food donations from the Felix Y. Manalo Foundation these last couple of years. Last October, the Church of Christ members in British Columbia generously sent 500 care packages containing canned goods and hygiene products along with hand sanitizers to the community of Suwali First Nations in Chilliwack, British Columbia. The Iglesia Ni Cristo members in Edmonton donated to 2 organizations last October, the Veterans Association Food Bank and the local Edmonton Food Bank. They gave a total of 300 boxes of food and a $2,000 check to these organizations. It's only halfway through the year, and the Iglesia Ni Cristo members have continued to reach out to their communities and have donated food and care packages to those in need. Let's take a look. In April, 5 and 2 Kitchen, a soup kitchen and food bank here in Toronto, has written to the Felix Y. Manalo Foundation to seek their assistance in providing food support for marginalized communities in the city. And just this May, Maison du Père, a local food bank in Montreal, and the Filipino Association of Montreal and the Suburb Center, a community center for Filipinos in Quebec, received food donations from the Iglesia Ni Cristo members in Montreal and Ottawa areas. These generous efforts did not go unnoticed by the Canadian government. Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau thanked the Iglesia Ni Cristo's Felix Y. Manalo Foundation, saying its efforts play a valuable role in keeping Canadian families safe and healthy amid the COVID pandemic. As the Iglesia Ni Cristo Church of Christ and the Felix Y. Manalo Foundation have shown, the pandemic has never been and will never be a reason not to show one's generosity, charity, and love to those who are in need. In Toronto, Ashley Sakmar, Eagle News, we live in interesting times.
Thank you, Ashley. Currently in the United States, the Church of Christ has congregations and is registered in all 50 states and in the District of Columbia. In Canada, it has congregations in all of the country's 10 provinces. When we come back, stories about how the Church of Christ has reached out to COVID-19 impacted households and cities. Eagle News America will be right back.
sa lahat ng mga members ng Iglesia Ni Cristo sa buong mundo. Binabati ko kayo ng happy 107th anniversary. Thanks for all you do to the community and continue to be a partner in nation building. Maligayang anibersaryo po sa inyong lahat.
Taus-pusong pagbati po sa lahat ng kapatiran ng Iglesia Ni Cristo sa buong mundo sa ika-107 anibersaryo ng INC. Binabati ko din po ang inyong Executive Minister na si Ka Eduardo V. Manalo. Maraming salamat po sa lahat ng inyong ginagawa para sa bayan, lalo na sa overseas Filipino. Mabuhay po kayo.
I would like to convey my sincere greetings and warmest congratulations to the entire Iglesia Ni Cristo brethren on the occasion of your 107th anniversary. I also extend my best wishes for the good health and continued success of Executive Minister Brother Eduardo V. Manalo and the leaders of the Iglesia Ni Cristo. Mabuhay po kayong lahat.
Welcome back. This is Eagle News America. When COVID-19 struck in the beginning of 2020, aside from the hundreds of thousands of lives lost, hundreds of thousands of families also had to endure the pandemic's economic impact. Thousands lost their jobs and had no choice but to rely on relief from the government and from other organizations. It is one thing to lose your job, it's another to lose it while fearing for your life as well. Businesses, facilities, schools, and even worship buildings had to close their doors, some temporarily, others for good. In these next stories, find out how the Church of Christ helped communities across North and Central America during a time when safety and certainty seemed elusive. In the U.S. Capitol and in its neighboring states, the Church of Christ made its presence felt as it continued to help neighbors. The church donated hundreds of PPEs, hand sanitizers, and school supplies to schools here in Washington, D.C., and in Maryland and Virginia. Eagle News correspondent EJ Gonzalez reports.
Shortly after COVID-19 reached the United States, schools, businesses, and establishments had to close their doors in accordance with safety protocols. Well, during the health crisis and even when restrictions started easing, the Iglesia Ni Cristo Church of Christ in the D.C., Maryland, and Virginia region was a welcome presence in communities needing not only of assistance, but of some tender, loving care. During a time when many uncertainties were still in the minds of parents and teachers for students to return to school, the Church of Christ reached out to various educational institutions like Essex Elementary School in Maryland, Woodrow Wilson High School in Washington, D.C., and Franconia Elementary School in Virginia to provide various items to help in the transition of schools reopening. Hundreds of members of the church in these areas volunteered in collecting, packaging, and distributing bags filled with PPE such as masks and sanitizers, snacks, and other school supplies in hopes of assisting the students and faculty to remain in a safe and productive environment. Various school and community leaders expressed gratitude for this kind, thoughtful, and unexpected gesture.
So the church surprised us today with the robust amount of donations that's behind us now. So bags of PPE in the time of COVID-19, so we can have our students return to school and feel safe. A little bit does go a long way, but this is more than a little bit. This is quite enough to support all of our students here.
Like I mentioned, this community is just outstanding, and this just speaks to the groups that I don't even know yet, and it's such a wonderful surprise to be met with kindness when even when you're not anticipating it. So it's just one of thanks, appreciation. I know that myself, my staff, and of course the students and our families will really benefit from and appreciate this. So I thank you.
And I just want to really extend our gratitude to the church for seeing a need and going above and beyond to try to meet that need. So congratulations to all of you. And I think that this will go to great use.
It is without a doubt that even as things return to how they used to be, the Iglesia Ni Cristo will continue to be a friend to these individuals, families, and communities, crisis-stricken or not. In Alexandria, Virginia, EJ Gonzalez, Eagle News, we live in interesting times.
Thanks, EJ. In a similar outreach, a local school in Kent, Washington receives care packages from the Iglesia Ni Cristo at an outreach event there. Eagle News correspondent Michael Hudson has the story.
It's been a very eventful year, to say the least, for the whole world, with the ongoing pandemic affecting us all. But that hasn't stopped members of the Church of Christ in Washington State and lending a helping hand to schools and teachers in the area.
With the unpredictability of whether schools would continue their distance learning or returning to class, the Iglesia Ni Cristo Church of Christ provided aid to local schools in the area. Packages of school supplies such as masks, gloves, hand sanitizer, notebooks, pens, and other supplies were donated by members of the church in this area to be ready and on hand for students as they started the upcoming school year. Also, cleaning supplies for electronics such as personal computers, laptops, and tablets were provided in case distance learning would be the course the local school district would take. Approximately 600 boxes were donated and transported to an elementary school in Kent, Washington, where Kent City Mayor Dana Ralph, as well as school principal Pamela Pogson, witnessed the donation drive. They were deeply touched by the contributions and assured all in attendance that they would be put to good use by the students receiving them.
The Iglesia Ni Cristo conducts these outreach events and donation drives in the area as an ongoing activity to continue helping all those in need during these trying times. In Seattle, Washington, Michael Hudson, Eagle News. We live in interesting times.
Thanks, Michael. Now let's head over to Southern California, where the Iglesia Ni Cristo sponsored several sites for free COVID testing and vaccinations. Bureau Chief Eva Basalaje reports.
When cases of COVID-19 surged in Los Angeles County, everyday living suddenly halted. Schools emptied. Businesses shut down. And for this city, known for its stars, the bright lights of LA sputtered and dimmed. But as often is the case, whenever humanity is tested, groups of concerned people step forward. One such organization, the Iglesia Ni Cristo Church of Christ, repeatedly made news this past year for their efforts in helping the public. In places like Lancaster, North Hollywood, and Los Angeles City proper, the Church of Christ met the pandemic head-on by first offering free testing to the public before eventually providing free COVID-19 vaccinations as well.
I'm 14 and getting vaccinated right now will help me to be able to get back to school, to be in person with my teachers, friends, family, and in general, just be a major help.
When you have an organization like the Church of Christ putting on such a good event, they're going to take care of their people. You know, that's what God-fearing people do. They look out for each other.
You know, it's very important for churches like here at Iglesia Ni Cristo to open their doors and welcome the community for vaccinations. You know, if we had more organizations and churches like this open their doors where we can come and do clinics, you know, we can reach herd immunity a lot faster.
The Church of Christ is leading by example. And it comes as no surprise to me because I know that they are very active in the community and they want to give back. And so, you know, today is just another example of the amazing work they do, both in the spiritual side, but also in the health side, helping LA County residents.
So long as there are stories of people helping people, news of the ongoing pandemic becomes much easier to digest. And in the case of the Iglesia Ni Cristo, the occasion of their 107th year anniversary looks to mean more opportunities for this church to continue their mission of spreading kindness and hope to as many communities as can be reached. In Los Angeles, California, Eva Basalaje, Eagle News, we live in interesting times.
Thank you, Eva. It is without question that frontline healthcare and essential workers have lived up to the title modern-day heroes as they bravely go to work every day amid the virus scare. The Iglesia Ni Cristo in New Jersey have seen their courage and dedication and made sure frontliners are given the appreciation they deserve. In Virgin, Bureau Chief Carlo Valdez shares with us the story of gratitude and recognition.
As the COVID-19 crisis picked up steam in the United States, Bergen County became the epicenter of infection in the state of New Jersey. And facilities such as this one in New Milford, New Jersey, continue to combat the spread of the coronavirus. Members of the Iglesia Ni Cristo Church of Christ here in Bergen County have not forgotten the hard work of our healthcare workers and are here today to provide lunch as a token of gratitude for their service.
There's many struggles that they faced. The worst of it is over right now, but now we struggle with the post-traumatic stress from what just occurred. So there are mental health issues that need to be addressed. We're lucky that we work together as a team and we support each other. Some of the struggles that we faced during the event was getting PPE in a timely manner, keeping our residents healthy, keeping our staff healthy, and making sure that we could provide them the best care that we could under each circumstance every day.
An experience that we've all lived through, and we've had to deal with it day by day with different changes, but we managed it as a team, walking through each day, you know, with the grace of God, that we were able to get up every day and come to work. A lot of people were very sick with our staff. We had a lot of staff members that were out ill also and affected their family members, their home life. But yet they came in and were very positive and worked very, very long hours.
Working on the front lines of this pandemic has been especially daunting for doctors, nurses, and other healthcare workers. And today, we find the local Iglesia Ni Cristo Church of Christ members here at this Care One senior living facility, bringing lunch to these frontliners and thanking them for their selflessness and sacrifice. As the world still battles this pandemic, healthcare work remains a grueling and essential task. But it's moments like these that help uplift and inspire those that continue to fight on the front lines. In New Milford, New Jersey, Carlo Valdez, Eagle News. We live in interesting times.
Thank you, Carlo. Resident of a housing complex in Queens, New York, struggling to fight the impact of COVID-19, receive assistance from the Iglesia Ni Cristo in that region. Bureau Chief John Soriano has the story.
Food scarcity has been an ongoing problem in parts of New York. Add to that uncertainty due to coronavirus, loss of employment, and now colder temperatures, and people have even more to be concerned about. A housing complex in Astoria, Queens is doing their best to cope with the current circumstances.
We have approximately 4,000 residents that live in 22 buildings. And with the COVID going on, we are trying to service and make sure that everybody here have what they need for this time, as far as food and the sanitizers and the mask and those type of things. People are mentally, physically, and in need because people are losing their jobs. One of the buildings, the entire building is shut down, and that's 48 apartments in that building that have no gas. And the gas is the supplier for their stoves.
The Iglesia Ni Cristo is donating boxes of care packages consisting of face masks, gloves, canned goods, and hand sanitizer as part of their worldwide aid to humanity outreach today.
I'm very excited because I didn't expect so much. I'm always grateful for anybody that reach out in this time to assist us in these, because we are not financially secure to do such things. I was really amazed because this is one of the first that I've heard of a project being done around the world of this kind.
Aid to humanity events like this are currently taking place all over the world by local church congregations. In New York, Joanne Soriano, Eagle News. We live in interesting times.
Thank you, Joanne Soriano. In an effort to reach out to communities in Latin America facing hunger and poverty and heavily impacted by the pandemic, the Iglesia Ni Cristo sponsors aid to humanity events across the region. Eagle News correspondent May Davila has the details.
Hola, bienvenido a Latino America. Poverty has long been a problem in Latin America, but the pandemic prompted a rise in poverty to levels unprecedented in recent decades. According to the United Nations Economic Commission for Latin America and the Caribbean, on its annual report, the region saw 22 million people, the equivalent of everyone in New York State, join the ranks of the poor from 2019 to 2020, unable to meet basic needs. In all, about one-third of Latin America's roughly 600 million residents live in poverty, or what the United Nations defines as extreme poverty, subsisting on less than $1.90 a day. This year, different calamities and political unrest added up to the problems and worsened the situation. Iglesia Ni Cristo, or Church of Christ congregations here in Latin America, bear witness to such difficulties. In connection with this, the church sponsors different outreach missions across the region. In Guatemala, hundreds of relief packages have been distributed from house to house, benefiting families from the poorest communities of the country. Same thing here in Panama, series of generous gestures give people the opportunity to meet each other and learn more about one another's life and current situation and ways to address bothersome issues. As the church adds another congregation in the country of Honduras, an aid to humanity activity has been held there as well. In Nicaragua, the outreach mission coincides with the Dia de los Niños, a national holiday there, with gift bags given to children, aside from the food and hygiene products given to the parents. In Colombia, families receive humanitarian help during small gatherings and many different occasions organized by the church. In Ecuador, the church has given away food bags to guests during missionary activities, especially in the country's capital, Quito, where a new congregation of the church is being established. One of the recipients from this activity, Mr. Galo Hima, has this to say.
Muy excelente. Igual lo que comparten los hermanos de la ayuda humanitaria en esta temporada que estamos atravesando, una época muy difícil, diríamos de tribulación, porque estamos en temporada de pandemia. Y muchas gracias por todo. En primer lugar, a Dios, nuestro Padre Celestial, por compartirnos su amor, su ayuda, Señor. Y gracias a los hermanos de la Iglesia.
In Ciudad de Panama, May Davila, Eagle News, we live in interesting times.
Thank you, May Davila. As the pandemic raged on, the Church of Christ wasted no time in making sure its support was felt by its neighbors. One outreach after the other, from one family to another, with simple gestures of kindness, but with longer and lasting impact to help people see and feel kindness amid pain and fear. When we come back, stories about how the Church of Christ partnered with community organizations this past year in addressing social issues such as hunger, natural disasters, unprecedented tragedy, hate, violence, and racial inequality. Eagle News America will return in a moment.
I'm very happy and honored to have this opportunity to congratulate you, all the members in 158 countries, and also Brother Eduardo V. Manalo for your success and contribution to the community you served. Greetings to all of you, congratulations, and happy anniversary. God bless.
Congratulations and happy 107th anniversary to the members and officers of the Iglesia Ni Cristo, or Church of Christ. Special greetings to your dynamic leader, Executive Minister Brother Eduardo. Your global church, which can now be found in 158 countries, has helped communities worldwide through various outreach programs. Thank you and happy anniversary to you all.
Congratulations to the Iglesia Ni Cristo or Church of Christ, especially to the members and to the Executive Minister, Brother Eduardo V. Manalo, on your 107th year anniversary. Your presence is now in 158 countries. You bring peace, love, and hope in many communities.
Welcome back. You're watching Eagle News America. As if the pandemic wasn't already crippling enough, society still had to deal with pressing and lingering issues like hunger, violence, natural disasters, tragedies, and racial injustice. Simultaneous with its outreach efforts, the Church of Christ in the Americas continues its other socio-civic engagements. These next stories are about the Church's partnership with community organizations and government agencies in helping communities face life's other challenges. The Iglesia Ni Cristo in the U.S. Capitol partners up with the Metropolitan Police Department of the District of Columbia, along with local organizations, in sponsoring a seminar about how to address Asian hate incidents and crime. Eagle News correspondent Rose Papa Angeles reports.
As hate incidents and crimes rise against Asian Americans in recent months, so do efforts that counter them. Here in the nation's capital, in an effort to educate the public, the Iglesia Ni Cristo, in partnership with the DC Metropolitan Police, reaches out to community members and hosts an information seminar on keeping safe from accidents, scams, cyberbullying, hate incidents, and bias crimes. Officer Michael Kim of the Asian Liaison Unit shared with Eagle News why initiatives like this play a crucial role in the community, especially for people of color.
I would like to show them our information, what we do, from old policing to new policing to interacting with the citizen, and make sure when we have a friendly interaction and people retrieve more information, and then that's what my goal is.
Ben de Guzman, Executive Director of the Office on Asian and Pacific Islander Affairs of DC, says there are agencies in the district that serve Asian American residents with resources to help them with issues affecting the community.
We really have kind of a twofold mission. On one hand, we represent the mayor to the Asian and Pacific Islander community, so providing awareness and education about city initiatives, programs, that sort of thing. At the same time, we advocate on behalf of our Asian American and Pacific Islander residents to city government. So helping make sure that they're able to access all the resources of our city, regardless of, regardless of race, regardless of immigration status, regardless of citizenship. If they're here in the district, we're here to serve.
Asian American Alexis Nachman says information shared here today adds to tools needed by any individual if or when facing danger in their homes or out on the streets.
The information that they relayed to us today is very useful for everybody to know. When they talked about like hate crimes and biases and discrimination, they clarified a bit more about what exactly discrimination is. Like they talked about with religion, race, age, and it just kind of helped me gain more clarity on what exactly a hate crime is.
Knowing what to say and do in threatening situations is one way to protect and defend ourselves from potential harm. In Washington, D.C., Rose Papa Angeles, Eagle News. We live in interesting times.
Thank you, Rose. One Heart for Women and Children, an organization in Central Florida helping individuals in transition, receives aid from the church, which they say is beyond what they have expected, especially during a time of crisis and uncertainty. To tell us more, Eagle News correspondent Melissa Podes reports.
According to the 2020 Annual Homeless Assessment Report, recently released by the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development, over 580,000 people experienced homelessness on a single night in 2020, an increase of over 12,000 from 2019. One Central Florida organization has made it their mission to improve the situation of families in need.
We're here to provide necessary resources such as fresh produce, food, hygiene items, clothing, and a whole lot of love, along with education and helping people to get back to work here in the greater Orlando area. Each year, really week after week, month after month, people were coming in and helping to volunteer and said, we want to help, and this is what we can offer. So we're here just really connecting the needs in our community for families that are in transition.
Celebrating its silver anniversary within the state of Florida, the Church of Christ Iglesia Ni Cristo held an Aid to Humanity event benefiting One Heart for women and children.
We were chosen because there were people that saw what we were doing in the community. So on May 28th, as 25 U-Hauls of food were driving by to come here, choosing One Heart for Women and Children in our greater Orlando community to receive these donations, we cannot thank you enough. What I love is that the need, when we asked for food, not only did we get food, but somebody from the church went on to the website to see what our other needs were. We ended up with over 100 sleeping bags, which is always a big need. We ended up with over 70 cases of diapers and wipes. We didn't ask for that. It was like God knew the need, and somebody was very diligent about doing the homework to see what our other needs were other than food. We love that 25-year celebration was the Aid to Humanity event.
Helping over 20,000 people per month, One Heart for Women and Children is making a positive impact on the lives of Central Floridians. In Orlando, Florida, Melissa Potes, Eagle News. We live in interesting times.
Thank you, Melissa. Still in Florida, a recent tragedy in Surfside where an apartment building collapsed claimed close to 100 lives. Rescue workers rushed to the scene to find survivors. Rushing to the scene as well was the Iglesia Ni Cristo to aid the rescue teams in saving what could be saved. Eagle News correspondent Erlix Elijah Inocencio has the details.
In the early hours of June 24, the Champlain Towers South condominium collapsed. Immediately after, first responders were on the scene trying to rescue those buried in the rubble. For many days after, rescue workers continued to comb through the debris for survivors. The Iglesia Ni Cristo, or Church of Christ, was also there providing support to the exhausted rescuers. In cooperation with the authorities leading the search and rescue effort, the Iglesia Ni Cristo, Church of Christ, brought water, snacks, and energy drinks to help keep the rescue workers going. Once news hit about the tragedy, congregations of the church in the Florida region gathered supplies. A small group drove to Surfside, Florida to deliver the food and drink and help in whatever way they could. This small gesture speaks volumes on the church's commitment to help people, especially during times when everything seems to be falling apart. In Florida, Erlix Inocencio, Eagle News. We live in interesting times.
Thank you, Erlix. In the past year, several outreach missions have been sponsored by the Iglesia Ni Cristo in Texas. Included are the Frontliner Appreciation Event and the relief operations for hurricane and ice storm victims. Jane Kathleen Gregorio reports.
In addition to the pandemic crisis, Texas residents also suffer different types of challenges, ranging from social unrest, natural disasters such as hurricanes, and power outages as a result of an unexpected ice storm. Yet through it all, Iglesia Ni Cristo members from all across the Lone Star State and the surrounding areas came together to conduct Aid to Humanity events to help their fellow community members. At a time when social injustice raged throughout the country, Iglesia Ni Cristo members in Fort Worth, Texas, took time to appreciate the men and women of the police force who put their lives on the line every day. Volunteers donated bottled water, care packages, masks, gloves, and hand sanitizers to help their local frontliners stay safe on the job.
On behalf of the City of Fort Worth, on behalf of the Fort Worth Police Department, specifically the East Division, I'm Commander Leonard Elgin, and I want to let you know how appreciative I am, how appreciative we are of your wonderful gifts and fellowship. I want you to know that I personally, as being spokesman for the East Division, I'm looking forward to a long and prosperous partnership with you so that with your help, I can, along with my officers, make the East Division a very welcoming place for everyone to live, work, and prosper. And I want to thank you. And my line of work is not always thankful, and it's always special when someone sees what we are at least trying to do to better the community, and I really do appreciate it. I really do. And in behalf of my officers, I want to say thank you.
Thank you so much.
Meanwhile, in Port Arthur, Texas, damage from the hurricanes, as well as job losses, left many families in need and without homes. To help ease the burden, Iglesia Ni Cristo members in the Houston area conducted an Aid to Humanity, sharing backpacks and school supplies with local children in the Port Arthur area.
The hurricanes, the COVID, the second hurricane, and so we have a lot of students who have not come back to us. We have a lot of students who are just homeless right now. So we are so appreciative of your sharing your gifts with us, and we do appreciate everything that you've done. We are certainly grateful for your organization servicing our school. We do appreciate everything that you are doing for us. I know that there are a lot of people that you could have done this for, but we're thankful for your looking at us in that effort. So thank you so very much. We do appreciate everything you've done.
At the beginning of 2021, an unprecedented ice storm left millions of Texans without power for weeks. In Corpus Christi, Texas, Iglesia Ni Cristo volunteers conducted an Aid to Humanity event distributing bags of non-perishable groceries and household goods to help offset the challenges for community residents.
It's a blessing today for y'all to be giving out groceries because things are hard with the pandemic, so that's a good thing.
Say thank you. Thank you.
It's great. I think it's good that y'all are helping out and give stuff to the people. I think it's excellent.
A lot of people have lost their jobs, and it's benefiting the community a lot for people. So this is great. I appreciate this, and I thank y'all very much.
It has been a challenging year as we start 2021 for this outreach event that they're doing. They're giving out groceries and supplies to people as they're coming by to be able to support the community and share the love of God with people by generosity. And so it's a very exciting event, and it's so important for churches to reach out to their communities and to be a blessing to their communities.
While calamities may strike unexpectedly, Iglesia Ni Cristo Church of Christ volunteers are always standing by to help the community weather the storm. In Corpus Christi, Texas, I'm Jane Kathleen Gregorio, Eagle News. We live in interesting times.
Thank you, Bureau Chief Jane Kathleen Gregorio. The pandemic's impact on the economy has caught community organizations in the nation off guard. Food donations became more scarce as more and more households faced hardships amid the COVID crisis. In Mesa, Arizona, food distribution organizations such as the United Food Bank and Mesa United Way, amid the challenges, received much-needed assistance from the Iglesia Ni Cristo. Eagle News correspondent Ryan Bondoc has the story.
When temperatures dropped in Arizona and new COVID-19 cases shot back up, fears of panic buying and food shortages were ever present on the minds of leaders and citizens. Even organizations that had historically taken on the challenges of feeding the homeless faced unprecedented shortages.
We usually every year for food drives get about 1.5 million pounds of food. The first quarter of this year, we didn't even hit 10,000.
Everybody thinks I can't give enough to make a difference, right? But if everybody gives just a little bit, when you put it together, it creates an ocean of humanity and kindness.
That was the formula for success behind the Iglesia Ni Cristo, or Church of Christ Worldwide A to Humanity event that took place in over 150 countries in October and November of 2020. In Arizona, 107 boxes of food were donated to the United Food Bank.
Thank you so much. This is amazing.
The majority of the boxes were filled by the 4 local congregations in the area region, which include Phoenix, Gilbert, Tempe, and Tucson. Additional boxes were supported by Globe, Yuma, and Flagstaff. Mayor John Giles of the City of Mesa joined INC Assistant District Minister Adore Apostle in presenting 2 checks of $5,000 to both the United Food Bank and the Mesa United Way for their roles in the COVID-19 response.
Back at the beginning of our COVID relief efforts, we reached out to the community and kind of did a survey to find out what were people's primary concerns. And this, you may recall, was back in February and March, when really the store shelves were empty of food, and there was a real feeling of panic and desperation in the community. And so the first response we got back was basic needs, food. And so this gift from the church, is directly related to our efforts to provide food to our community.
Most of our money is going to help people that have really been affected by COVID-19. So we have a lot of homelessness that has come. It's always been a problem, but it's becoming more and more of a problem. And then we also have a problem with education, and only because we have schools trying to do their best, but it continues to change.
While no one can say for certain how many more waves of COVID-19 will affect schools, economies, and communities in Arizona, one thing is quite clear. The donations made by the INC in Mesa will make a difference.
We're overwhelmed by the generosity, and this community, of which the Iglesia Ni Cristo is a big part, they've been so generous during the pandemic. They recognize that they themselves may not be suffering, but the people around them are, and they want to help. And the generosity of groups like this is really what's kept us strong through this whole pandemic. I have a staff that's tired and ragged from working really hard and a lot of hours, and gestures like this are a huge deal.
We've actually turned away volunteers. They asked if they could sort food, food drive food, and we said we don't have any. And so now we get to say, you come and sort some food. We have some.
You can help the United Food Bank feed the hungry through monetary donations, food drives, or by volunteering your time. Mesa, Arizona, Ryan Bondock, Eagle News. We live in interesting times.
Thanks, Ryan. In Nevada, organizations helping the homeless receive assistance from the Iglesia Ni Cristo. Representatives of these community organizations say they are thankful for the love and support they received during these very challenging times. Bureau Chief Anna Cui reports.
Here in Las Vegas, there is an increase in the number of individuals and families who experience homelessness and food insecurity as a result of income loss due to the COVID-19 pandemic. This is only one of the reasons why the Iglesia Ni Cristo Church of Christ continues to conduct aid to humanity events through its charitable arm, the Felix Y. Manalo Foundation, to provide assistance to those who are in need wherever they are in the world. Members of the Iglesia Ni Cristo in the Las Vegas region donated 100 boxes of non-perishable food and essential household items to the Share Village, an affordable housing project with supportive services for veterans and their families and other members of the community in need. One of the residents there shared his thoughts about the help they received.
The community, especially the community, needs it. This pantry is fantastic, and all the food is tremendously helpful because there's a lot of homeless people out there. So the line is long every day. So this is going to help feed a lot of families.
In addition to homeless veterans, there is a growing crisis of homelessness among the youth in southern Nevada. Arash Kafuri, director of Nevada Partnership for Homeless Youth, received a check donation for $5,000 from the Felix Y. Manalo Foundation. He recognized the spirit of support and unity of the members of the Iglesia Ni Cristo.
And when I come here, I feel love and support and this spirit of community from all of you. And that must be from the leadership and the brethren of all of you, but especially the leadership of the executive minister as well. So I want to thank all of you for supporting homeless youth. We have one of the worst homeless youth crises here in Nevada that we do in the entire country. So this help is very critical for us.
Nevada Senator Scott Hammond also received a check donation of $5,000 on behalf of Nevada Women in Trades, an organization, he says, that is very close to his heart. He also expressed his hope for the Church of Christ to continue showing their love and support for their neighbors in the communities they serve. In Las Vegas, Anna Cui, Eagle News, we live in interesting times.
Thank you, Anna. Over the years, the Church of Christ has impacted lives around the world with its socio-civic initiatives, breaking world records, reaching out to people in the remotest corners of the earth. This church has undeniably gone far and wide. When we come back, greetings from community leaders here in the United States and Canada. Eagle News America will be back shortly.
Greetings and happy 107th anniversary to all the members of Iglesia Ni Cristo from all over the world. Special greetings to your dynamic leader, Brother Eduardo V. Manalo. Congratulations and more power. And again, happy 107th anniversary.
Congratulations and happy 107th anniversary to the members and the officers of Iglesia Ni Cristo. I think it's wonderful that one of your chapels is one of the many different faith communities here in the city of Burlingame. It's an honor to help you celebrate your history today, and I hope this day is filled with joy, celebration, and peace. Salamat.
Welcome back. This is Eagle News America. Connecting with kababayans and migrant Filipino workers in different parts of the U.S. and Canada is one of the church's neighborly gestures. In the past year, although in-person gatherings have been prohibited due to health and safety measures, the church continued its efforts to help brighten the gloomy days people all over the region were experiencing. Through its virtual events, be they worship services or appreciation programs, or Christian music concerts, the church was able to connect with neighbors from all walks of life and in different time zones, especially with Filipinos in the United States, Canada, and Central America. Philippine Ambassador to the United States, Jose Manuel Romualdez, greets the Iglesia Ni Cristo on its 107th anniversary by commending the church's humanitarian works and saying the church embodies the spirit of bayanihan across the globe. Take a look.
On behalf of the officers and staff of the Philippine Embassy in Washington, D.C., I wish to convey my warmest greetings on the occasion of the 107th anniversary of Iglesia Ni Cristo. I extend our heartfelt gratitude to the INC for its humanitarian work and socio-civic contributions through the years, especially during the COVID-19 pandemic. We count on the INC's continued support as we emerge from the pandemic and move forward with a united goal of uplifting the lives of Filipinos and Filipino Americans throughout the world. I also commend the INC's projects such as the INC Giving, vaccination clinics, and community donation drive, among others, that support the Embassy's welfare and health initiatives for the Filipino diaspora and uplift the mental and spiritual health of our communities. The INC truly embodies the spirit of bayanihan in the Philippines and throughout the world. Maraming salamat at mabuhay po.
Philippine Consul General in Los Angeles, California also sent his greetings.
Mula sa Philippine Consulate General dito sa Los Angeles, California, ito po si Edgar Badajos, ang inyong Consul General. Taos-pusong bumabati sa inyong lahat sa pagdiriwang ng ika-107 anibersaryo ng Iglesia Ni Cristo. Taos-puso ko ding binabati ang inyong Executive Minister na walang iba kundi si Ka Eduardo Manalo. Muli, taos-pusong bumabati kami sa inyong lahat. Maraming salamat at mabuhay kayong lahat.
In British Columbia, Canada, Philippine Consul General Maria Andrelita Austria says in her greeting that the church uplifted the spirits of frontliners during the COVID crisis. Take a look.
Magandang araw po sa inyong lahat. On behalf of the men and women of the Philippine Consulate General in Vancouver, I convey my warmest greetings and congratulations on the 107th anniversary of the Iglesia Ni Cristo. In British Columbia, I have seen how the Iglesia Ni Cristo has maintained and sustained their bonds as a community, as well as their linkage to our culture and our country. Throughout the COVID-19 pandemic, the Iglesia Ni Cristo continued to reach out to those who were more vulnerable and in need through socio-civic activities and generous donations, keeping the Bayanihan spirit alive. Your congregation played a big part in uplifting the spirits of our frontliners in British Columbia and in other parts of Canada. During these challenging times, faith remains critical in offering strength and guidance to our kababayans in your community, as well as giving inspiration and a sense of purpose as we build new lives here in Canada. We look forward to working with you in ensuring the welfare of our kababayan in Canada, as well as promoting the interests of our country. May your community continue to grow in faith, friendship, fellowship, and love of country in the years ahead. Mabuhay and maraming salamat po.
Once again, on behalf of our bureaus here in the Americas, we wish to congratulate and greet members of the Iglesia Ni Cristo and its Executive Minister, Brother Eduardo V. Manalo, on its 107th anniversary. That is today's Eagle News America. Thank you for joining us. I am Eliza Gonzalez, Manglik Mod. We live in interesting times.